Okay, so this is part 3 of the tiger drawing, and I have the watercolor done, I have the undersketch done, and now I'm going to start the actual drawing. So I'm going to go in, and the two main things that I want to do are go over the lines that I've created, and I also want to block out the dark areas. So I'm going to start, and I'm working a little more carefully and slowly and deliberately than I did with the initial sketch. And just sort of block this out and add some more details. For example, as I'm looking at my reference photo, I can see that there are some highlights here in this dark area around the eye. So I want to make sure that I have those blocked out so I don't color over them. So I can just do that as I'm working and sort of leave it like that. If I need to darken them up later, that's fine, but I'd rather have them stand out so I know that that area needs to be addressed. I'll block out this area, some of these darker markings that this tiger has. And again, I may find that as I'm working on this, that I need to go over these areas repeatedly in order to continue making them darker, and that's fine, that's just part of the process. So some of the other things that you can think about too while you're working on this is line weight. So for example, you've probably seen a lot of artwork that has a very thick outer line. Whatever the subject matter is, has a very thick outline. That's sort of a popular style, so that's something that you can certainly incorporate. Or if you would rather have it a little more realistic, you'd want your line weight to be a little bit lighter. And again, that's just personal preference. There's not a right answer. It's just however you feel comfortable rendering something. And I can see from my photo that this ear that I'm currently working on is a very dark area. And there's some white fur right there, so I can block that out too while I'm up here. And again, with these pencil, with me coloring in these areas, thank you, Suki. All right, Suki. I want to try and color them in smoothly and evenly. Suki. She likes to feel involved. I want to color these in smoothly and evenly, but I'm not gonna worry too much about it because I'm gonna go back in with this smudge stick and smooth that up. So right now I can see those lines, but that's okay because I'm gonna deal with that in a minute. Okay, and we sort of have some coloration in the mane right here. And I'm just sort of coloring that in as I go, and I can smooth that out later too. So let's look at this area with these whiskers right here. There's a really dark area, but these whiskers are very light and they're sticking out. So one way that I could handle that, we're going to try and do it this way and see how that works out. I'm going to draw the whiskers in, at least some of them. Okay, and then what I can do, let me try and get close to this, is sort of just make that whole white area around each individual whisker. Okay, and then color around it. And what will happen, especially if I go in with a darker lead pencil and color around that, is that they will really stand out. But again, I'm sort of making notes for myself in the future when I come back to this section to say, right, these need to stand out more. So I can sort of do something like that. Okay, and these other whiskers you can see are just sort of coming off of the side. While they are white on a black background, we actually have a light background, so we can just draw them in with the pencil like this and actually sort of reverse out our reference photo. But that's going to work too, so we won't worry about those as much right now. What I'm looking at now is sort of the top of this section right here. And how does that sort of end? And there's sort of some whiskers right here, so I'm going to color that in. And I'm probably adding less than are actually in the photo. Of course, you could certainly put in each of them individually. Again, there's not a right answer. I think as long as the drawing looks good, then you're fine. And some of these whiskers actually come up a little further than I have them. But right now, for the sake of our demonstration, that's sort of the way that I'm going to handle that section. And then what I can do to extend them is just draw along one side of that area. And then it looks like there's some darker spots in here. You know, we can just sort of put those in. There's a bit of a darker spot up here. There's some spots. And this is one of the things I sort of like about drawing tigers, is as long as you're pretty close with the markings, right, people are going to be able to tell what it is. So you can sort of get away with a little bit more. Okay, let's color in this area. And I'm just going to keep working like this. I'm just going to keep blocking off these areas and coloring them in until I have this finished.